Welcome back to another episode of Say What Needs to Be Said. I'm your host, Asante, Mr. Pick Six Samuel, two-time Super Bowl champion. I'm your Pro Bowler. I'm your all-pro record-breaking cornerback and the last cornerback to intercept 50 interceptions during the 16-game season era. How we doing out there tonight? Clap it up, Monday Night Vibes. I know, man, it's a Monday night, a long weekend, and I hope everybody is ready to attack the week and be prosperous. And take a step forward and not a step backwards this week. Because, man, the news that we received today is not the news we was expecting. And, man, I don't know, man. We have a lot to unpack tonight. We have a lot to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot to discuss. Shout out to Mama Luke in the chat. Mama Luke is in the chat. How we doing out there, man? Y'all talk to me. Y'all know I love to talk back. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Let me know, how do you feel about this situation, the main topic of the night, DeShaun Watson being chosen the starter over Shedeur Sanders. And I'm going to break it down because I think there are some key pieces. If you put it all together, it makes sense, and you can understand and see that this was kind of the plan from the beginning, And when I talk about the number one overall pick, man, should he start the regular season? The first game of the regular season, we got the 49ers having issues. They got a lot of issues. If you haven't heard, we're going to talk about it, man. Some horny issues. And we got to talk about DeShaun Watson, also Shedeur Sanders, man. And I wonder how Coach Prime is feeling. Coach Prime, I know he is down and out. It's like, geez, my baby can't get a break. Yeah, and also, man, we're going to speak about the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton and Bo Nix. Where do they stand at in 2026, the 2026 NFL season? And, all right, first segment of the night, the number one overall pick. Let's get into it. Clint Kubiak, man. Clint Kubiak. Still not ready to name the starting quarterback for week one. It's out of Fernando Mendoza and Kirk Cousins. And this is a reoccurring issue for the number one draft pick, mainly when it's a quarterback. If it's a defensive player, wide receiver, throw him out there, put him in the fire immediately. But when it's a quarterback, teams try to typically take their time and not ruin a player, The head coach, Clint Kubiak, he isn't ready to name the starter this week for week one. It's not a surprise. And I don't think you can go wrong by letting Kirk Cousins start off the season at quarterback and let Fernando Mendoza sit back for a game or two or three and see how things go. Just because of Kirk Cousins' history and his resume, And I don't think, like I say, nothing wrong with letting him go out there first. But my motto. My motto. Throw him, if he's the number one pick, throw him on out there and let's see what he got. Because once you put Mendoza in the fire, there's no turning back unless he ends up being a bust. And I don't expect that from Fernando Mendoza. I don't think anyone expects that, And like I said, if a team feels confident in drafting someone with the number one pick, you better have the confidence in starting them in the first game. The first game, second game, you better have some confidence because you have done a lot of due diligence vetting this player. You should know this player's whole history, his entire life, basically, when you want to invest in the number one pick. So, like I say, I will put him out there. In my opinion, Fernando Mendoza, he showed he is ready to lead and command that offense in those first couple of preseason games. He looks like he's ready for the moment. He is a pro-style type quarterback, and he needs protection. And I hear concerns about him not being a dual threat quarterback, which probably can hinder him in today's league. I don't really agree with that. I think that's only a trend we are used to right now. These dual threat quarterbacks, that's just the wave of the NFL right now. Fernando Mendoza might start a new wave with the prototype type quarterbacks, pocket passers. Now you got to start building your team. You got to start from the inside out. So the Oakland Raiders, they build the line for get some linemen up there for Fernando Mendoza, and things is going to be great. I'm rooting for Fernando Mendoza, man. I really root for Fernando Mendoza. I like what I see. And he's a Florida boy. Don't get that twisted. Shout out to the Florida boys, So, yeah, dual threat is really not how football started. So that's just a trend in my opinion. You know, all the Oakland Raiders need to do is add a few more pieces to the puzzle, and they will have a complete team. Because that defense wasn't as bad as it may seem. They finished right in the middle of the pack, like 15th overall, 15 in overall defense, and that's pretty good with how bad that offense was last season. Then you got Brock Bowers out of Georgia, the tight end. He's a nice threat to build with Fernando Mendoza. Continue to build, add a number one receiver to the mix, and the Oakland Raiders. I always say that. The Las Vegas Raiders, man, they have a solid team. That's it. Just add a few weapons to the outside. Like I say, I'm rooting for Fernando Mendoza. We're gonna see. We'll see how this play out. I think he's going to be a top tier quarterback in the NFL, Pro Bowler, potentially All Pro. Can't really say if someone's going to be All Pro, but the main thing is he has a good backing behind him. Clint Kubiak is head coach, got a lot of experience. Just went to the Super Bowl as on the staff with the first time coaches. Well, it was in his second year or whatever you want to call it. But yeah. So I think he's Fernando Mendoza's in pretty good hands. He's in pretty good hands. We'll see. Pretty good hands. All right, next we got the 49ers, man. We got the San Francisco 49ers. And man, the San Francisco 49ers, if you haven't heard already, man, the NFL basically have a problem on its hands. A big problem on its hands. And it's not just football. Because we're finding out that a bunch of these NFL billionaires, these NFL owners, which are billionaires, are horny. We're finding out the NFL got a bunch of horny billionaires for owners, man. The San Francisco 49ers owner, Jed York, has been arrested on suspicion of horny activities, ladies and gentlemen. San Francisco 49ers owner Jed York arrested for engaging in prostitution and later charged with disorderly conduct. Man, what a... it's something about owners loving prostitution. What is it? All that money. And you mean to tell me he couldn't make his mugshot disappear? His money is no good in Ohio. What's the sense of being a billionaire if you can't make a simple mugshot disappear? You understand? I know y'all might not agree with me out there, you civilians and stand-up citizens and things like that, but that's how it goes when you got a bunch of money. Man, they booked his ass like he was a random John out there looking for a trick. They don't give a damn. They ain't give a damn in Ohio. They say, we need your money to go to the city, to the town. I'm not worried about me personally. I love my town, baby. We need you to put that bun money up. Yeah, man. And it was so the bad part about it, he got charged with disorderly conduct as well because he couldn't believe he was getting arrested. and that shit was happening to him. Yeah, he couldn't believe it. He's a trust fund baby, man. He's a trust fund baby, inherited into the family's business. And he's not used to being in trouble and dealing with situations like that. And it would be hard for me to believe he didn't try to bribe his way up out of that mess, and the officer just wasn't going for it. And then he snapped. That's what happened. Then he snapped. But one of my teammates, my ex-teammates, John Lynch, is the general manager for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, hearing this news with Jed York, I can only imagine. John Lynch and Jed York together, the time they have behind closed doors, the things that we don't get to see, because we all human, baby. We all human. They are hanging out and partying as well. So he just got caught. That's all. He just got caught. And word on the street, homeboy tried to pay $140 for some horniness at a trailer park in Palestine. Is that how you pronounce it? Palestine, Ohio. That sounds horrible. Coming home to have to explain that to his wife, that sounds terrible. At least if you decide to cheat on your wife, make her feel like you picked something fine and sexy, something that maybe she could be proud of, proud of her husband. Like, boy, you did that at least. I'm still mad at you. Don't make her feel all the way down. God, dog, have a little decency. You never know. Wifey might be like, all right, this is a good time. I want to spice the relationship up, But to hear he was looking for horny in a trailer park, that is just hard to swallow, man. Y'all like my word, looking for horny? I never understood why people with money look for horny in the streets. I never understood. Why do people with money hit the streets to look for horny? I've always been scared of street walkers and people walking around on the streets. I'm damn near scared of strippers touching me. I'm picky like that. When I hit the strip club, it's usually one or two strippers in the club that I might want to get their attention. I'll try to get their attention. If they're too busy and it doesn't work out, I'm just vibing. Ain't no pressure. I'm just here to enjoy myself. But it's only probably one or two strippers in the club that grabs my attention. Jed York, man, he's the owner. He just has too much money and influence not to be able to make a call and have a good time at your local strip club. He shouldn't be putting himself in that predicament with the position he's in, It don't matter what city he's in. If he's in his city, he could be in Ohio, he could be in LA, he could be in Detroit. It doesn't matter, man. Figure that mess out, And it seems like this team is going backwards, downhill, falling off the cliff. It's about to be a disaster. You know why? Because this team is super old. When I say super old, this team is super old in football years. A lot of injury-prone players, and it's probably because of their age. Look at these players, man. Think about it, right? Starting with the offense. I think that's wrong. Trent Williams, I think he's 38 years of age. Then you got George Kittle. George Kittle is 32 years of age. You got Mike Evans. Mike Evans, 32. Deebo Samuels, 30 plus, That's pretty old. That's pretty old. Brock Purdy is, pretty youthful back there. But then you look at the defense. The defense is, they right there. They're right there at that breaking point, about to reach that age, but still holding on. Fred Warner's is 29. He's right about to be 30. And this team is getting old. This team is getting old, man. And we'll see. I don't know, man. I don't know what the 49ers expectations are this year, but jeez. And then, I think about Brandon Ayuk when you see the powers to be getting in trouble, right? You think about Brandon Ayuk. Was he tripping? Was he tripping or was he just too woke? Because he probably seeing what goes on behind closed doors. He's seen what happened with the injury situation with the wide receiver, and he probably is like, man, it's crazy, So what y'all think, man? How do y'all think the owner's supposed to handle looking for horny, man? If he's out and about looking for a good time, what is he supposed to do? What is he supposed to do? And how does the players feel about that now? I want to hold them accountable because if you come down on me for something I've done wrong and you're not setting a good example, we need to talk about it. That's how I feel. That's me, but hey, who knows? So I don't know, man. 49 is going to be old. They're going to be pretty old this season on offense. I can't wait to see Mike Evans and Deebo Samuels out there trying to get open for Brock Purdy, along with George Kittle's, man. I can't wait to see it. But maybe the veteranship in the offense in these squad may show up, and they may be able to figure out how to win games and be productive because of their veteranship. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. All right, coming up next, man. Oh, the devastating news we've found out today. Let's have a moment of silence, guys. Moment of silence, man. Oh, my goodness. I woke up this morning. That was the first thing I was waiting to hear. That's all I was refreshing my feed for, researching news, looking at different websites. That's all I was waiting to hear pretty much today. What was Todd Monken going to do? Who was he going to name his starting quarterback? Here we go again, man. Here we go again. All I can say is, what a surprise. Is everybody ready to meet me in Cleveland and mound up and do this thing? Because we could do this. Y'all meet me in Cleveland, man. Let's figure out a time and day and let's show up in Cleveland and let them know we're not happy. We're not happy. Today was the Cleveland Browns Super Bowl, and they freaking lost. Todd Monken had a chance to win the Super Bowl today, and they lost. And he lost it. DeShaun Watson has been named the starting quarterback week 1 for the regular season. And I was afraid Todd Monken would name DeShaun Watson the starting quarterback after reading what he had to say about the competition at quarterback after the Buffalo Bills game. Because he claimed he isn't worried about any post-game meltdowns on the podium or one bad half of football determining his decision. That's basically what he was saying. And this was never a real competition from the beginning. What it looks like to me, that's what it looks like. Because this is a money-motivated decision. There is no way one average half of football without a pass over 10 yards was enough to say DeShaun Watson outplayed Shedeur Sanders. It just wasn't. Todd Monken goes, I'm not going to let one half of football, one frustrating moment, dictate what our decision is going to be. That we think JS is the best interest of the Browns moving forward, and especially week 1. Monken said Sunday in a Zoom call. Oh, what is JS? Think is, oh, sorry, I got something on the screen. But that's what Todd Monken had to say after the preseason game when DeShaun Watson was horrible in the third quarter and took the podium and had a meltdown. And I just don't see any other evaluation that says DeShaun Watson should be the starting quarterback over Shedeur, other than money. You know the one thing I do respect Bill Belichick for, and I give him credit for, is having the balls to name Tom Brady the starting quarterback over Drew Bledsoe. Man, what a legendary moment. What a legendary moment. Because you have to have balls as a coach to make a late round pick the starting quarterback. That's just the facts. That's the way it is. But I can only imagine the goal moving forward has to be let DeShaun Watson start off the season. Hope he does good. Nobody wants to prey on anyone's downfall and hope he does bad. I'm sure nobody is hoping that, you know. And if he isn't playing good by week 2, it's time to make a switch right before the first home game. My thoughts.
Against Jacksonville, took in the full body over the. Sean is going to start against Jacksonville. Took in the full body of work over the course of off-season to training camp to the games, the joint practice, and ultimately felt like to start the season on the road, DeShaun gave us the best chance to move the ball and score points. I mean, that's really what it's about. And felt that way going into the last game, but wasn't sure. And after we talked as a staff, And after we re-looked at everything, we're going to go that direction.
Want to go that direction. I'm trying to figure out this process, the protocols up there for the Cleveland Browns, right? The decision makers. And it seems like it's a three-way struggle. But all I could think of is Todd Monken is being told what to do. He's just a puppet in his decision-making process. This conversation with Todd Monken tells me he wants Shedeur Sanders to be the starting quarterback, but can't force the issue as the first-year head coach. Check it out.
He was awesome. I mean, you talk about somebody that really understands the long game, that really, I think, has come to understand the long game, right? What are we really in this for? What am I in it for? To have the Browns be an organization that people aspire to be, right? The long game, right? Where do we want to be in the long term, right?
Right.
Whatever that, and he understands that as well as a quarterback, right? Where he was at, where he's at now, where he wants to get to. That is what's so awesome about Shedeur understanding that. Really, he does. We met this morning for a good long time, and all he had was a smile on his face because he understands what really is in front of him, not really a short-term, maybe long-term decision. I mean, this is like a player, like he's going to work his butt off to get better, and he has already.
And I'm telling you, man, I think he genuinely loves Shedeur Sanders. I really do. And Todd Monken likes to give hints when he speaks. If you don't notice, if you're not studying body language or studying these coaches and what they're saying for the Cleveland Browns, Todd Monken likes to give hints when he speaks because he doesn't want to drag or pull any of his players down. He wants to keep everybody uplifted and motivated. He likes to stay positive, as positive as possible when he speaks. But he sounds like this wasn't his decision, man. I'm just being honest. He just sounds like this wasn't his decision. The long game, huh? And as he's speaking to Shedeur Sanders, the long game. He's telling Shedeur Sanders, be ready, be patient. This is a move that must be done, but your time is coming very soon. Yeah. Because you look at this depth chart, by the grace of God, dear Lord, this looks like it doesn't make any sense at all. Sean Watson, the starting quarterback. Shedeur Sanders, number 2 quarterback. That's kind of weird right there in itself. And then you go to number 3. Dylan Gabriel, the 3rd quarterback. Taylor Green, the 4th quarterback. Is this just a system or something? Is the system set up? It's not even a competition? Are you telling me Dylan Gabriel deserves to be on the team as the 3rd string quarterback? 2 quarterbacks go down. You're depending on the Dylan Gabriel? Of course, the 3rd string quarterback isn't typically called upon or needed in the game. There's no way Dylan Gabriel can still be in the mix. This has to be a joke. If we're talking about trying to win football games, how can Dylan Gabriel still be in the mix? I don't get it. And it seems like everybody, the owner of the Cleveland Browns, Jim Haslam, hires, just can't be coincidentally making these horrible decisions. It just can't be everybody Jim Haslam hires are just coincidentally making these horrible decisions. From Kevin Stefanski to now. And then you got Andrew Barry. He sat right up there on the podcast with a nice, beautiful smile on his face, looked us dead in our eye, and act like the Deshaun Watson contract didn't factor in this decision-making process. But hey, what do you expect him to say, right? But Todd Monken, he's going to throw those hints out there. Todd Monken doesn't want to be dishonest, and he wants to keep some dignity in him, you know. And this is just weird. Everything is weird from the draft to now when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. I feel like the entire NFL is in on this play. I think the Cleveland Browns is getting calls from all sorts of places with coaches, executive, GMs, owners, giving their opinion on this quarterback decision and what Todd Monken should do and how Jimmy Haslam should handle it. Because if you're paying attention and watching all the steps, this was a coordinated effort to keep DeShaun Watson from embarrassment when the Bulls started coming down in the Cleveland game during the game when they played the Buffalo Bills on NFL Network. That's what we talked about right after the game. That's definitely a coordinated effort because that was the game that was supposed to be on the NFL Network. But they switched it right off because they're trying to save DeShaun Watson from the embarrassment. Maybe it's the Cleveland Browns. It just seems like the NFL is really scared of Shedeur Sanders, maybe the Sanders family, something. You know, they don't want to give this man a chance to start and be a player in the NFL for some reason. I just don't get it. And of course, 100%, this will not sit well with the fans of Cleveland Browns. And everybody knows that. Todd Monken understands that. Jimmy Haslam understands that. And Andrew Berry understands that. Because they're being strategic in their moves of how they handle this process. And let's be honest. Just evaluating quarterbacks, taking names off the quarterbacks and off the back of their jerseys and basically with a blank jersey. No name, no number. Now, if we're being honest, DeShaun Watson, if he was an undrafted free agent and he was being evaluated based on this training camp, he would be a candidate to possibly getting cut. The Browns have a plan, man. They definitely have a plan. Like I'm hinting to. They have a plan. That's why Todd Monken was so happy, man. Todd Monken was so happy to see DeShaun Watson in that first preseason game, just able to operate the offense at a basic level. Todd Monken was ecstatic. Man, the guy's been off for so long, fighting injuries. I was just happy to see him go out there and execute the offense. Because that is the plan. And as far as the fans go, the fans are customers. You're running a business. The people who spend money with you, with your organization, with your company, are your customers. And Jimmy Haslam, Andrew Barrett, the Cleveland Browns organization, they are telling their customers, we don't care about your money. We don't care about you coming to the game supporting the Cleveland Browns. We're going to force the person that you have a problem with booing, showing us that you do not like. You don't want him to represent our team. Y'all, the majority, the fans, the supporters, the reason we're able to be out here playing football. We're going to force this down y'all throat and y'all have to deal with it. That's a tough pill to swallow. That is a tough pill to swallow. You hear me? The schedule, man. Here it is. If Shedeur Sanders is starting by September 27th against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Carolina Panthers, sorry, the first home game, this was planned from the get-go. Yep, this was planned from the get-go. If Shedeur Sanders is starting in that first game, September 27th against the Carolina Panthers, you can't tell me this was planned. You mean to tell me DeShaun Watson was chosen to start the first home game and it just so happened to be an away game, first preseason home game, and it just so happened to be an away game. Now he's been chosen to start for the first regular season home game. Just so happened to be an away game. 2 away games. You got 2 chances to show and prove. But this was planned from the get-go. DeShaun Watson starts in the away games, and Shedeur Sanders starts in the home games. Create confusion and uncertainty. Make this season get as bad as it can while, making it seem like we're trying to win. Trying to put our best foot forward. So the Cleveland Browns can have at least a top 5 draft pick in the draft with the chance to get the Golden Boy. If you don't believe me, listen.
Winning consistently.
I would say this, and we never do this, but I think the odds are for us to win 5.5 games. I'll take the over.
Make sure y'all hear that again.
Winning consistently.
I would say this, and we never do this, but I think the odds are for us to win 5.5 games. I'll take the over.
5.5 games. I'll take the odds. He's expecting this team. He's already confessed that he's expecting this team to be a losing team. This season is supposed to be a losing season. 5 games he's expecting his team to win. Jimmy Hasner has admitted, if y'all remember, he admitted he took a big swing and miss with DeShaun Watson. He admitted that was a horrible decision. They messed up, and now they have to deal with it. Man, this organization is out of control. Just follow the money. This organization is out of control. You hear me? It's out of control. And I'm still not too fond of the idea of Shedeur Sanders asking to be traded. I'm still not there yet. I do think he has a little bit of value now, being that he put up enough film, right? I just think that he would have to deal with the same issues he's dealing with currently. I think it's to the point, man. Shedeur Sanders looks like he is developing into a better quarterback than last year's number 1 pick, Cam Ward. Do y'all agree? Does Shedeur Sanders look like a better quarterback than Cam Ward, or am I tripping? I think that both teams are pretty much equal in talent and depth and things like that. If Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward were drafted today, I think more people would be interested in Shedeur Sanders as the number 1 pick, just based on the growth to now. I'm not talking about college and everything. Since these 2 players have been in the NFL. But it happened, man. When I first spoke about the situation during mini camps and things like that, first thing I said, Todd Monken, no matter what Shedeur does, he just can't start Shedeur Sanders. That was the tone from the beginning. But as bad as DeShaun Watson looks, today he threw a ball in the dirt. Nobody was around. Before the ball even hit the dirt, he turned around. Like he already knew, and just the body language is just out of control. But I already knew this was kind of going to happen. But watching DeShaun Watson practice and understanding he isn't getting no better, I just thought this was a real competition with a new coach. And Shedeur really had an opportunity to win this competition. I don't think he ever had an opportunity. And when I said he wasn't seizing the moment, doing the little things, it wasn't nothing he can really do, man. But guess what? It's not over, because Shedeur is going to be starting sooner rather than later. You know what I mean? That's just how it's going to go. Shedeur, he's going to be throwing them up, and we're going to be here to celebrate, man. We're going to hit pump him up, enjoy this Shedeur Sanders journey, and we here to support him, man. So what do y'all got to say in the chat? Let me get to a few super chats. We got a few super chats we got to get to. Let me get to the first one. Right here we say, needs to switch before the final season of the game. Browns on 0 Browns on this TV. We don't watch pervs here. I feel you, man. They need the fans speak. The supporters, the people who support the Cleveland Browns speak. And you will hear more of this. It doesn't even matter how good DeShaun Watson does. Now, if you start winning games, you play pretty decent. Of course, it lifts a little bit of the weight off your shoulders, but at the end of the day, certain people are still going to feel it way, you know? That's just the way it is. Right here, salute right here. I can't even see it. What she say? Salute. Okay, salute Rock Roller. Shout out to Rock Roller for the super chat. Yeah, man. I think this is just what do you want to call it? Collusion, conspiracy, everything. I remember there was a guy put out $100 million lawsuit against the NFL because of all of these things that we are accusing the NFL of. I wonder where that lawsuit has gone. And yeah. And then you got to talk about Daquan Wright, man. Daquan Wright getting waived by the Cleveland Browns, and now he's going back to college. How do you guys feel about that? He still has 5 years, still has a year of eligibility within his 5 years of eligibility. And me personally, I think at this point, when you're playing college football or in the NFL, it's a job. If you have the opportunity to make money in the NFL or opportunity to make money in college, I think it's a job at this point, you know? And it's crazy because times have changed. And yeah, Daquan Wright, he went to the Cleveland Browns and he gained a summer worth of experience. Basically was a GA for an NFL team. He did training camp with NFL players. Now, if you think he gets that much of an advantage doing training camp with NFL players, then coming back and playing with college, then so be it. Me personally, me being an ex-NFL player, I don't think it's that much of an advantage. Yeah, his confidence may grow. Yeah, he got the confidence. He's going in the confidence battle. But yeah, man, that's it for Shedeur Sanders and DeShaun Watson segment. But we're going to continue to talk about this. They're going to be developing moments. And we're going to bring some people on and get their different opinions of what's going on. I think I might need to bring Coach Prime back. I think he might have a lot to say. And I'm sure he has a lot to say. But it's how you ask Coach Prime. You see, when I first interviewed Coach Prime and wasn't really allowed to talk about Shedeur, how I set the question up, you know, and it's just like, how is Shedeur in these situations, you know? And he's unflappable, man. And that's when, you know, everything started. But shout out to the Sanders family, Coach Prime, Shedeur Sanders, man. Yeah. All right, Bo Nix, the Denver Broncos. This is one of my rage-baiting teams. You know, this is one of the teams and one of the quarterbacks I like to have fun with. I think he has some talent, and I think he has some issues, a lot of issues he can fix to take him to the next level, you know? And to me, the Denver Broncos are pretty much in the same predicament as the 49ers once were in, you know, meaning they were close to having a Super Bowl team, but time caught up with them. We just talked about the 49ers and how old they are. You know, the players start to exit out of their prime sooner than later. And that's what's going to happen to the Denver Broncos in the next couple of years. Got about a 2-3 year span. Bo Nix is on the clock, baby. Time is clicking. Time is ticking. How long can this defense be a dominance or be dominant? How long can this defense maintain their dominance? They've shown for the past couple of years. Because like I said, key players start to decline and other players start to find other teams to play for, trying to make that money. You know, how long will Patrick Surtain play at a high level and stay injury-free? You know, time is ticking. Bo Nix is on the clock. The Denver Broncos. And when it's time, when you have a team that is Super Bowl capable, you only have a small window that you have to execute and seize the moment. It's a small window, you know, and a lot of people are hyped about the Denver Broncos this season. You know, last season they got a taste of what it was like to make a run for a championship. Fell a little short. You know, everything is on the up and up for the Denver Broncos. And it's hard to tell if this team will have a better squad compared to last season. Can't really tell. With the addition of Jalen Waddle, I expect them to be a much better team, especially on offense. You know? And as good as everybody feels like Bo Nix played last season, he still can be a lot better. Bo Nix can still be a lot better. You know, I think with the addition of Jalen Waddle, man, you got to expect this team to be a Super Bowl championship type team. This is their best chance to get a Super Bowl championship. Sean Payton isn't expecting anything less than winning a Super Bowl. Playoff wins won't cut it for Sean Payton. So if Bo Nix can't win, baby, I mean, not just win games, he has to win in the playoffs, get this Super Bowl. But teams I expect coming out of the AFC with the best chance to make it to the AFC Championship and knock the Denver Broncos out, obviously. Obviously, I think Denver Broncos have a chance. Then you got the Patriots. Obviously, my Super Bowl pick for this season for the AFC. Then you got the Buffalo Bills. Then maybe the Chiefs or even the Jacksonville Jaguars. These are teams that I think the Denver Broncos may have to face defeat in the playoffs. And I'm not going to discount the Raiders. Like I said, they finished in the middle of the pack when it comes to defense, right? And yeah, the Raiders just isn't bad as they seem. That team just isn't bad as they seem. Like I said, they finished middle in the pack. But what impressed me most about Bo Nix last season, even though he made games closer than they needed to be, right? His ability to find a way to win. He has a sneaky ability to find a way to win. Like I said, he made some games closer than they needed to be, but he still found a way to win. Now he needs to show that ability in the playoffs. He probably has a 2-3 year window, like I said before. The talent on that team has to break up and gone. So Bo Nix got to step up and make something happen. But that's Monday Night Vibes, baby. Shedeur Sanders is the quarterback number 2. Like I said on the last live, we talked about, Shedeur is a winner regardless in this situation. It's a 5th round pick, worked his way up to the backup quarterback. We can say he took a step backwards from last season because he ended off the season as a starter. But that's not necessarily true. But how we doing out there tonight, man? Monday Night Vibes. Man, I'm enjoying y'all. And yeah, Shedeur Sanders, baby, Todd Monken, Andrew Berry, DeShaun Watson. Drama in the NFL, man. It continues. Thank y'all for rocking out with me, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Make sure y'all send some comments. Let's have some fun, man. We need to get to 100K subscribers, man. Make sure y'all like. Make sure y'all comment. Make sure y'all push and make sure y'all tell a friend to tell a friend because we should be there, 100K subscribers. We'll see y'all next time. It's your boy Asante, Mr. Pick 6 Samuel, baby. And